All right, so I sat with the information that came out about No Jumper host Housephone over the weekend, as many people did. We sat back and watched the content that was created from and the opinions that came out from himself and his closest collaborators, co-workers, and also his discussion on DJ academics. I'll start there. I'll start by addressing my first video because I came out and I was just kind of in shock when my initial reaction came out. So I didn't say anything too crazy in there or anything like that. But yeah, no, it was definitely weird. But just to give the background, the first content that I absorbed or even witnessed in regards to the situation was Housephone's conversation with DJ Academics. So that's the angle that I was coming at it from. But now I haven't watched the original actual conversation because I really have no interest in hearing anything about that. Or I don't want to give an extra view to Sledgelord's podcast or anything that Adam 22 does in his own personal endeavors because I do not support him. The only reason that I support No Jumper is because of people like Housephone and everything. And that's where I'm about to go with this. Now that I've watched everybody respond and talk about that, give their 2 cents on the situation, it further confirmed what I already had a feeling of, that Adam 22 was completely in the wrong for this situation. And not only that, but them going the extra length to try and blame the editor and have an editor removed, or, everybody's calling for the firing of the video editor. And that's only because you can't call for the firing of Adam 22 because he literally owns the company. I'm not saying that it's not the video editor's fault, but hear me out here. Housephone and Adam 22. Well, Housephone is the longest standing person still on camera at No Jumper besides Adam 22 himself. Adam and Housephone had a conversation before the video came out where Housephone told him that he did not want that info. He basically told him that, y'all shouldn't even, don't bring up my name in the interview. I'm sure he was even weirded out by the fact that he was doing the interview with this person in the first place. So he tells him exactly what he doesn't want him to bring up, and apparently Adam 22 agrees to those terms. Naturally, during the course of the conversation, it comes out, because of course that was one of the apparently that was one of the person's main goals of going there, even though Adam vehemently denies this. It really doesn't matter. Media trained Adam is going to deny any of these kind of situations, but it is 100% unequivocally his fault. Let me break it down like this. Adam 22 came out with a very, very lame response on Friday, I want to say, where he went on the live news stream in order to talk about that situation for 30 minutes, where he says that he showed the screenshots for proof that he told the video editor to make sure that none of the information about Housephone comes out, but somewhere at the end, Danny Mullen was whispering Housephone's name underneath of his breath in reference to something that the trans person had said, and basically this slipped past the editing team. This is why all of this is BS to me. The interview should have never happened. Adam 22 says the interview happened because he was mutual friends with this man through his industry that he works in, the PORN. Can't spell this morning. He doesn't do pawn. But yeah. Anyway, so one of his co-actresses, Nicolette Shea, is friends with a bunch of transsexual humans, transformers, robots in disguise. And one of them happens to be the person who claimed that she knew Housephone, or he knew Housephone. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to misgender this person. He said that he knew Housephone. Adam 22 asked him, they've had the conversation about what happened before the camera came out. Adam 22 came back and asked Housephone, hey, did you do anything with this dude? And Housephone was like, no way, bro, blah, 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 denied it up and down. So he thought it would be no problem. Well, I would assume that that's the same conversation in which Housephone would have told him that, hey, if they're coming on, make sure that you don't even bring that up or anything like that. Either way. At that time, based off the conversation that was had, the human being had no reason to come on No Jumper. And Adam's excuse was, oh, he is coming on a panel with a bunch of Transformers, in the same day. And then he asked to have his own personal interview. So I obliged because of our mutual friends and relationships that we have. It's a lie. I mean, that may be partially true. Adam 22 is very good at taking partial truths and using them as a defense to not distract, but deflect from the truth of his exploitation. He's done it when people talk about him dealing with, hood beef and gang politics and things like that, where he's, a lot of the stuff that he says is partially true, but then again, it's like, why are you even here? You have no business in this realm or anything like that. But I'm not trying to deflect or divert too much from the main topic here. So he said all that to say that was his excuse as to why he was interviewing this Transformer versus any other given Transformer. And this person just so happens to start releasing this information. Well, okay. You were there and you knew that the person is releasing all of this information, and all you did was say, hey, editor, make sure none of this comes out. You didn't review it to make sure it didn't come out without any of that information, even though you were claiming Housephone let us know how dire it was to him. To have it be a nonchalant thing to you is not really, I think that's not cool at all. So he tells the editor, okay, just make sure you get all the pieces out that talk about anything unsavory about him. It slips through the cracks. It comes out on Adam 22's channel. So it's not even like a No Jumper thing. This is on Adam 22's personal channel, which is where the Sledge Lord podcast comes out at. So, I mean, it's nothing out of the ordinary for their series, but that's your namesake on the channel. To sit there and be like, oh, I didn't even review the content. It's like, oh, well, that's bad business, first and foremost. And this is your friend. This is unacceptable. And this is one of those mistakes where now there is nothing that can be done. The damage is already done. And now there has to be something done in consequence of this. Because this is one of those things where you should never allow this. You should have, before even allowing something to slip through the cracks, this interview wasn't even worth, or podcast wasn't even worth coming out without heavily reviewing it. You didn't gain any traction to your channel from this. And hopefully anybody with half a brain is not going to immediately watch the original episode and give them views for this, because if that was what we're all assuming to be the end goal at the end of the day, I don't want that plan to work. And I think that's a very messed up way to do it. Although I'm not going to fault you if you're really interested in what the person said and you do want to see it. I'm just saying, there's plenty of illegitimate YouTube channels where you can find clips of that to not give him a view. And yeah, I don't know if what I'm saying right now is going against YouTube standards and stuff, but I highly recommend that you guys watch this through the bootleg channels and actually supporting people who would do this to their friends. I'm not going to lie to you when I tell you that everything that I find out about that I find out about No Jumper, I try to find out from an illegitimate channel. I try to watch No Jumper's actual channel as little as possible. In the past few months, I used to be a huge avid watcher of them and watched everything that they released, but I've been seeing things like this happening for way too long. This was literally the icing on the cake. This was a slip up that cannot be tolerated. And it, I think, opened a lot of people's eyes to how far Adam 22 is willing to go to utilize the traumatic lives and the drama in the lives of his employees in order to further the business, and is extremely protective of his own information, of his own image in the same way. We'll stay tuned here. I feel like this might not be the last video that I'm going to make on the topic. I didn't even say everything I wanted to say in this because apparently it's such a long topic. Maybe I'll do a live on this because I'm almost at 10 minutes and I feel like I haven't even scraped the surface of everything I wanted to say. But that is the Monday morning update of where we are at with all of that No Jumper information. And yeah, Adam 22 is totally in the wrong in this one. And like I said, I usually don't try to watch No Jumper directly. Sorry, anybody who's upset about that. But I'll be tuned in this Tuesday to see what the heck goes on there, and maybe even today if something happens. They got me with this one. It's funny. It's like a catch-22 as to where I'm telling Adam 22 this was wrong of you to do for attention, but yeah, it did work. And I wasn't. It's the thing about it is, just to end off the video, nobody's telling you to not do something like that because it's not going to work. They're telling you to not do something like that because it's wrong as a human being and as a friend, or especially as a boss. So that's something to chew on your Monday morning. And I don't mean the